New England Gardening here. This is a Brunswick fig. This variety is from UC Davis, and sort of sad looking fig. It almost looks like the Christmas tree from Charlie Brown Christmas, because I waited 2 years before I uppotted this thing, because Brunswick a lot of times get a bad rap because they split if they get a lot of rain during the ripening process. But this one seems to be doing good here. This fig just fell right off. Now I want to talk about different levels of ripeness here. You can see the wrinkling going on here. It's almost like it's drying on the tree itself. And some people don't like them this ripe, but it's almost like they're dehydrating on the tree. And if you get it so that it doesn't sour or go bad, I mean, it's just going to concentrate the sugars, and it's going to be that much sweeter. This here isn't ripe yet, and this one here, it's still soft on the end here, but it's more firm near the neck, so I think I'll leave that on. And here are a couple of more Brunswick from a different source. I don't want to mention the name because I actually did not order Brunswick from them, but I received a Brunswick. So here's another very ripe Brunswick fig, and here's another very ripe Brunswick fig, just hanging by the skin. And here are some extremely ripe Negroni. You can see the wrinkling going on, and actually falling off. They're so ripe. Now here we have a green fig. This is Trojano, and you can see the fig honey or nectar or resin blocking the hole there. And there are brown spots starting to form on this fig. So this is a lot more. This is more ripe than, say, this one here, which is nice and shiny, still a little firm. Today I thought I'd talk about the different levels of ripeness for figs. And you can see here I've got a cross section of figs at different levels of ripeness. And when I first started growing figs, I tended to pick them way too early. This fig here, although it's ripe and it'll have some flavor, when I picked it, the latex, it was first off, it was difficult to take off the tree, and second, there was a lot of latex that came off of the broken stem, and you want to avoid this latex because it's a pretty severe irritant. You don't want to get this in contact with your mouth or with your tongue. And so this fig here could have stayed on a couple of more days. And here's the other extreme. This fig here is almost mummified, gone through a natural dehydration process. The skin is shriveled, and it's almost like leather in texture. It's very thick, but you can still feel it's soft inside, and this is just concentrated sugar. This is probably something you'd like to have if you were going through the desert. You'd have this nice dried fig. And there's different levels here of Negroni and Brunswick. Now, the more dehydrated these get, of course, the more concentrated the sugars are going to be. So, although they're not going to be pretty, they're going to be pretty tasty. So let's open some of these up, take a look. Let's take a look at this one that could have stayed on a little bit longer. So you can see here, it still has pretty good color. And a lot of people like it at this level of ripeness. I want to avoid this end here with the latex. No, it's not as sweet. Definitely almost has a little bit of a bitter taste to it from the outside layer in the skin. Now let's take a look at this very ripe Negroni. You can see the color difference here, the texture, and the outside layer here is almost non-existent. You had that white, got this white part here, and this one that's not as ripe. Look at the color difference. You can just see it's a lot more concentrated in sugar. It just looks more figgy. So let's try this one. That is a world of difference. That is just so much sweeter. Now let's take a look at this ugly thing. I think this might have been a Peter's honey. And see how tough it is? But look inside here. That's just concentrated. That's what, and it's sticky and gooey, and the sugars are just extremely ripe. Now you don't have to eat the skin on this, although the skin is probably very sweet too, but this is more like what you find in a fig Newton. This is going to be very sweet. And that also, the fig flavor comes through. This is the most flavorful fig, as far as fig flavor goes, that I've had. This is what you're looking for. I think this is what they concentrate when they end up making fig Newtons. It's just very thick fig flavor. And I don't think people realize you have to get to this dehydration point here in order to get a nice flavorful, nice fig flavor from your fig. Wow, that's just concentrated sugar. And you have the crunch there from the seeds too. So here's a Brunswick. You can see how pliable the skin is here. Still some water content, but this is the ripeness that you want to look for in a fig. I don't think people realize that. They see the outside as being very ugly, and they figure it's gone past its prime here, but this is delicious. Wow, that I'm really liking these Brunswick figs. This year really turned out to be great weather for them. And this is the UC Davis Brunswick. Take a look at this. Now see here, it looks like there's mold issues with this one, and around the eye. I'll just cut that off. Not as sweet as the other Brunswick, and it's probably because it's not as mature of a tree. And I did not pot it for the longest time. It really almost has no taste. So this is New England Gardening, and just wanted to talk a little bit about the ripeness, levels of ripeness of figs, and what to look for. You just have to determine yourself what the level of ripeness is that you like. But the more concentrated the sugars in these figs, the sweeter they're going to get. So thanks for watching.